We begin with context, because without context, everything becomes noisy. For thousands of years, the Indian subcontinent lived without calling its spiritual life by any single name. There were sages in forests, householders in villages, monks on roads, kings in courts, and seekers everywhere. Some prayed to forms, some sat in silence, some studied logic, some sang, some questioned existence itself. There was no master label. Life itself was the classroom. Then history shifted. Empires arrived, maps were drawn, populations were counted. And during colonial rule, especially under organizations like the British East India Company, administrators needed clear categories. They needed boxes. So everything that was not Christianity or Islam or Judaism was placed into one large container and called Hinduism. What had once been a living, breathing inner culture became an external identity. A river of consciousness was turned into a reservoir with a nameplate. That brings us naturally to the question, what exactly are we talking about when we say Hinduism? Is it a religion, a philosophy, a cultural identity, or is it simply a historical convenience? And if Hinduism is a modern label, then what were people practicing long before this word existed? More importantly, what were they trying to understand? Because beneath rituals, temples, festivals, and scriptures lies a much deeper inquiry. The ancient question was not which religion do you belong to? It was who are you? Not what do you believe, but what is real. Not how do I fit in, but how do I become free. Modern religious thinking assumes that a religion must have a founder, a fixed doctrine, a single holy book, and a clear boundary between insiders and outsiders. Christianity fits this model. Islam fits this model. So when Europeans encountered India, they assumed the same structure must exist here too. But that assumption was already flawed. The Indian spiritual world never worked like that. There was no single prophet, no final revelation, no compulsory creed. Instead, there was something radically different, an open-ended exploration of consciousness. The underlying assumption of Sanatan Dharma was simple yet profound. Reality can be directly experienced. Truth is not owned by any group. Liberation is personal, and human suffering comes mainly from ignorance of one's own nature. Another assumption followed from this. Different minds need different paths. Some people are emotional, so emotion works. Some are intellectual, so inquiry works. Some are energetic, so disciplined action works. Some are contemplative, so meditation works. There was never one road, there was a whole landscape. Hinduism as a modern term created a structure that looks organized from the outside. Gods, rituals, caste categories, festivals, temples, and customs. It feels like a religion, but Sanatan Dharma was structured very differently. It was more like a psychological and spiritual ecosystem. It included yoga for the body and mind, philosophy for clarity, meditation for awareness, ethics for social harmony, and metaphysics for understanding existence. Some schools debated reality, schools that studied the mind, schools that focused on devotion, and schools that worked with energy. The structure was not centralized, it was organic. Think of it less like a building and more like a forest. Many trees, many species, one underlying soil. And that soil was direct experience.
The framework was experiential, not belief-based. You were encouraged to test teachings in your own life. If a practice reduced suffering, increased clarity, and softened ego, it was considered valid. If it did not, it was questioned. That is why ancient texts often sound like dialogues rather than commandments. They read like therapy sessions mixed with philosophy seminars. A student asks, a teacher responds. The student doubts, the teacher refines. Nobody says, accept this or be punished. Instead, they say, try this and see.
Hinduism today often functions as a cultural identity. It gives people a sense of belonging. It connects families through rituals. It preserves art, music, and tradition. That is valuable. But Sanatan Dharma had a deeper function. Its real purpose was inner transformation. It was designed to help human beings understand the mechanics of suffering, the nature of desire, the construction of the ego, and the possibility of freedom. It functioned as an inner technology. Meditation was not a hobby, it was a tool to observe thought. Ethics were not moral policing, they were psychological hygiene. Mantras were not magical spells, they were methods to stabilize attention. Deities were not just external gods, they symbolized forces of consciousness within the psyche. Everything pointed inward. The goal was moksha, liberation from unconscious patterns, freedom from compulsive craving, freedom from fear-driven identity, freedom from the endless loop of reacting to life instead of living it. In simple terms, Sanatan Dharma tried to solve the human condition. But every system also has limits, and this is where honesty is required. Over time, the inner science slowly became outer religion. Practices turned into rituals, symbols turned into literal beliefs, social power structures attached themselves to spiritual ideas, caste hardened, authority replaced enquiry. Instead of asking, "Is this true in my experience?" people started asking, "Is this traditional?" The living wisdom is fossilized in many places. When Hinduism became a formal identity, especially under colonial pressure, the focus shifted further outward. People began defending labels instead of exploring consciousness. Temples became crowded, but silence became rare. Scriptures were worshipped, but rarely studied deeply. God became externalized, while self-understanding declined. Another limit is psychological. Identity is easier than awareness. It feels safer to say, "I am Hindu," than to sit alone with your restless mind. It is more comfortable to argue online about religion than to face your own unresolved anger, jealousy, or fear. So, modern Hinduism often functions as social glue and emotional armor, but not always as a path of inner awakening. This does not mean tradition is bad. It means tradition without awareness becomes mechanical. And now we arrive at integration, the most important part. Integration means holding both realities together without conflict. Hinduism exists today as a cultural and social identity. That is a fact. It carries beauty, heritage, and continuity. Sanatan Dharma exists as an eternal inner framework. That is also a fact. It offers tools for consciousness, clarity, and freedom. The mistake is confusing the two. You can be born Hindu, but you must consciously walk Sanatan Dharma. One is inherited, the other is earned through inner work. Integration means honoring festivals while also practicing self-observation. It means respecting temples while also learning to sit quietly with your own mind. It means appreciating mythology while understanding psychology. It means teaching children stories of gods while also teaching them emotional intelligence. It means moving from identity to enquiry. The ancient sages were not interested in making followers, they were interested in waking people up. So perhaps the real invitation today is not to argue about names, not to prove whose religion is older or superior. The real invitation is personal. Are you willing to look inward? Are you willing to watch your thoughts instead of being possessed by them? Are you willing to question your conditioning? Are you willing to live consciously rather than automatically? Because Sanatan Dharma is not something you join, it is something you practice. It lives in how you respond to stress. It lives in how you treat people when no one is watching. It lives in your ability to pause before reacting. It lives in your courage to face your own shadows. And maybe that is the quiet revolution hidden beneath all the noise. Not changing religions, not proving whose religion is older or superior. The real invitation is personal. And the moment you stop arguing about the word and start living the way, the ancient wisdom becomes modern again, right inside your own breathing, thinking, struggling, beautiful human life.
If these videos make you pause,
if they make you think, if even one idea here touches something inside you, then please consider subscribing. I'm not a big channel. There's no algorithm magic working in my favor. Every video you see here is created with intention, reflection, and a genuine wish to help people understand themselves and the world a little better. Your subscription is not just a click. It tells YouTube that this kind of content matters. It tells me that this work is reaching real hearts, and it gives this small channel the strength to grow. I don't promise entertainment. I promise depth. I promise honesty. I promise conversations that stay with you long after the screen goes dark. So, if you believe in conscious thinking, emotional healing, and inner evolution, subscribe. Let's grow together, one mind, one heart, one step at a time. Thank you for being here.